Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Aradhi Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Hare Krishna. Um, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 31, Lord Kapila's instructions on the movements of the living entities. We are covering text 1 through 12. Text 1. The personality of Godhead said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. Text 2. On the first night, the sperm and ovum mix, and on the fifth night, the mixture ferments into a bubble. On the 10th night, it develops into a form like a plum, and after that, it gradually turns into a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. Text 3. In the course of a month, a head is formed, and at the end of 2 months, the hands, feet, and other limbs take shape. By the end of 3 months, the nails, fingers, toes, body hair, bones, and skin appear. As to the organs of generation and the other apertures in the body, namely the eyes, nostrils, ears, mouth, and anus. Text 4. Within 4 months from the date of conception, the 7 essential ingredients of the body, namely chyle, blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, and semen, come into existence. At the end of the 5 months, hunger and thirst take themselves felt, and at the end of 6 months, the fetus enclosed by the amnion begins to move on the right side of the abdomen. Text 5. Deriving its nutrition from the food and drink taken by the mother, the fetus grows and remains in that abdominal residence of stools and urine, which is the breeding place of all kinds of worms. Text 6. Bitten again and again all over the body by the hungry worms in the abdomen itself, the child suffers terrible agony because of his tenderness. He thus becomes unconscious moment after moment because of the terrible condition. Text 7. Owing to the mother's eating bitter, pungent foodstuff or food which is too salty or too sour, the body of the child incessantly suffers pains which are almost intolerable. Text 8. Placed within the amnion and covered outside by the intestines, the child remains lying on one side of the abdomen, his head turned toward his belly, and his back and neck arched like a bow. Text 9. The child thus remains just like a bird in a cage, without freedom of movement. At that time, if the child is fortunate, he can remember all the troubles of his past 100 births, and he grieves wretchedly. What is the possibility of peace of mind in that condition? Text 10. Thus endowed with the development of consciousness from the 7th month after his conception, the child is tossed downward by the airs that press the embryo during the weeks preceding delivery. Like the worms born of the same filthy abdominal cavity, he cannot remain in one place. Text 11. The living entity in this frightful condition of life, bound by 7 layers of material ingredients, prays with folded hands, appealing to the Lord who has put him in that condition. Text 12. The human soul says, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in his various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting my impious activities. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, when you're ready, Himanshu Prabhu, you can start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, all devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please invoke me the brief prayer. Om Akyan Dimandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshar Mulitam Yana Tasmai Shri Guru Nama. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurmani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashatati Shatarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Acharya Sadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama. Thank you everyone for joining the class today. Today we are going to read Canto 3, Chapter 31, and today's section is we are going to discuss the 4th misery, which I never considered a misery before coming to Krishna consciousness, which is a birth. I knew, from my childhood, like death, disease, old age, yeah, definitely there are a lot of suffering, but I never think of like birth is also suffering. So, Prabhuji, am I audible? Because it says unmute to start speaking.
Oh, we can hear you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay. So till now, I just want to give a brief recap, like what we have heard in the last chapter about the 3 miseries given by the Lord Kapila, which is old age, disease, and death. And we talk about like how living being, entangled into this material world under illusionary energy. They are living in a bodily relationship, they consider themselves as a body, and then they entangle with their family member, with their friends, and they're trying to, do all different activity, like they to earn money, like, false means. By false means, they're trying to earn money to satisfy their family member, which is temporary family. And, and if they could not able to satisfy, then at the end, family member also, disregard them. And when it in old age, we heard like, how they treat them negligently, like a dog, hog, and all those things. And then, when the disease happen, when they prepare for a death, then because of the sins what they have committed, how the hellish punishment, like, Harinam Prabhuji have shown a very eye-opener video on the last Friday, like, because what I feel like, when we heard about anyone death, and when we see, like, we have heard all these things, hellish punishment, but that animation gave me a different understanding, what is a real, because that leave a deep impression in our, whenever we see any kind of visuals, it, give a deep impression. So today we are gonna discuss about birth. Just give me a minute, I'll share my screen quickly. And I have, so before we'll go there, so today I'll summarize what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss how soul entered into the womb of a mother, and then how the different parts of the body will develop on different months as per the Markandeya Puran, and then how soul will suffer and then pray to the Lord, only fortunate souls or devotee souls. And then after the birth, in this chapter, Lord Kapila will describe how that person will get again suffering after the birth, because he cannot tell anything, he cannot express anything, and then he'll come under the illusion of Maya. And afterwards, they talk about, like, bad association of that, that living being, and then so on it goes. So today I'll show a very small video of birth, because I found very relevant to this topic, which with the Shastric evidence and with the Prabhupada voice, how birth is all about. So let me share my screen. I'll play the video and we'll go from there. Just give me a minute.
And when the body is no more usable, then the body is finished and the soul again enters another body. This is called transmigration. What is the next body you are going to get? You must have information.
can see that. Okay, so let's start the summary of this today's section. So as we have seen, so Prabhuji, I'm still audible, correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So in the text one, in the text one, it's a Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So here Prabhupada says the personality of Godhead said. So here Prabhupada mentioned clearly, he never mentioned that Supreme Personality of Godhead said, because Supreme Personality of Godhead is only Krishna, no one else. So this is another personality, but not a Supreme Personality. So as Lord Kapila is a personality of Godhead, is empowered incarnation, but not a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here Prabhupada is saying that Reta Karnashray is a very significant word in this, because he's saying, like, a lot of materialistic people think like when the sperm and ovum mix, child born, but it's not the case. Here it says, like, not the semen of the man creates the life, it's the soul enters, take a shelter into the particle of a semen of a man, and then mother supplies the body as a matter, and then when it get enter into the womb of the woman, then body develop. So there is no possibility of any body or any soul development, because material process cannot develop a soul. So not mother and man and woman unite and then they will generate the soul, not possible through that process. So as we see, like in the video also, like and also in the Mataji when she read, like in the text too, it's talk about. So first of all, we need to understand there are four kind of body. One is a tree one, which is Ubdija, then Andija, which is all the birds, and then we have a Switja, like when sweat, the lot of bugs, germs, bed bugs, flies generated from the sweat also. So they call Switja. So Udbija, Switja, Andija, and Jarayuja. Jarayuja is a human body, which so process for Andija and Jarayuja is same until the 10th night, because first day we see like ovum and sperm only mix, and the 5th night it just become like a bubble, and then the 10th night it form a like a I would say Rudraksh size plum, the size of Rudraksh. And then later depend what kind of body it is. If it's a Andija, then it take a form of an egg. If it's a Jarayuja, it take a form of a lump of a flesh. But till 10th night, every process is same. So in text 3, further talk about how the different body limbs develop. Like in the first month, it's talk about head is formed, and then the second month, feet, hand and other limb take shapes. Third month, nails will come, bodily hair comes, bone comes, skin come, organ for generation, anus, eyes, nostril, ear, mouth of the child form. And then text 4, Lord Kapila says, from the date of conception, like there is a chyle, the milky fluid for which develop in the intestine for the digestion purpose, that form. Then blood came, bone marrow came on the 4th month, and then semen also came into the existence on the 4th month. And then the 5th month, hunger and thirst develop in the child. Then he feel the hungry, like thirsty, child feel the thirsty and angry in that case, and in that time. And then the 6th month, complete body of the child is formed. If and then in the Shastra it's mentioned, if it's a male, then that the child will turn to the right side of the mother abdomen. If it's a female, it's she goes to the left side. That child goes to the left side of the mother abdomen. So in that Shastra mentioned, like at that time there is no need of modern way of sex determination. But I was hearing one Prabhuji lecture. He mentioned like, but in Kali Yuga everything is housepoach. Anything is possible in Kali Yuga. So don't rely. Because Kali Yuga, men and women are so impious that anything is possible. So, I mean, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport here, like Markandeya Puran, from the Markandeya Puran, that child situation in the womb of a mother, whatever Shastra is mentioning, everything is matching with the modern science. So nobody, no scientist, no doctor can disapprove the Shastra. Everything is written, day by day. So what is going to happen in the womb? And text 5 talk about suffering. Now we are going to hear the suffering for next few words, suffering, how suffering happen in the womb. So as we know, like how fetus will grow. Fetus will take the nutrition and oxygen from the mother, from the umbilical cord, correct? Umbilical cord joined mother with the child. And then through umbilical cord, all the oxygen and nutrition will get into the embryo. Prabhupada explained, like, there are Smriti Shastras which tell like what mother has to take during the pregnancy, what food she should avoid and what food and drink she should take. If mother will take too salty, too pungent food, then because child body is very tender, he cannot tolerate that, that such food. He can't, bear that torture. So, Prabhupada also explained in this verse, like how we can attract a good soul. And whenever the soul comes, so it's the combined karma of the mother and father, and also it's a combined karma of the child based on their combined karma. Because we did never choose which father in birth. That is the only relation we cannot choose. Like neither mother and father can choose, nor even child can choose their father and mother, because it's a combined karma of mother, father, and child. That's where based on their karma, they find a suitable child or they find a suitable parent. Child find a suitable parent. But in the Shastra, it's mentioned in this age of Kali Yuga, we need to do before unite, we need to do the Garbhodharan Sanskar. And in the Garbhodharan Sanskar, it's mentioned husband and wife, mother and father needs to do 50 rounds of chanting. Both has to do 50 round chanting before the unite, so that their consciousness will become pure, and then they can attract the pious soul as a child, and they can accept the pious soul as a child. Text 6 talk about the hungry worms, like again the further suffering, like because it tells, like as we see in the video also, like where the embryos reside, that is very abominable place where stool is there, urine is there, and which cause the these worms to create. And these worms will, because child skin is very tender, they will bite again and again to the body of the child. And because child is having undeveloped consciousness or covered consciousness, we can say, so that's why a child could able to tolerate this suffering. Otherwise, if we have the similar situation, if I would have a similar situation in this age, I would not able to bear that pain and may not able to live alive, because child is living in a kind of a cage. And in that cage, not able to move, his body is become like an arch, because his head is moving towards the belly, and and back and neck is kind of a complete arch of a bow. And it's very difficult. If I will, I'll think, if I lock myself in a box, and these I'll put a worms, and then if mother is also eating pungent food, then which gonna tangent, it's very difficult for surviving. So if I can't move and not even getting oxygen, if I call out for help and nobody is helping me, then I will not have a hope to survive. I may die with the time because of the fear. But because child has a very undeveloped covered consciousness, because that's why he's able to tolerate all such agony. And Prabhupada explained in this verse, like this material world is a dukkhalem ashashvatam. It's a misery. And we are part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is the complete whole. So we have a minute independence, because of which we choose to master. We choose to live as a master life, correct? We choose to live a life where we can, enjoy the happiness independent of Krishna. We can seek a pleasure independent of Krishna. We don't want to be the, serving the Krishna. So that's how, so this birth is just like a jail in the material world. If as criminal do the offense and government doesn't follow the rules and regulation of the government, and he put into the prison, same way, like a living entity, because he's not following the rules regulation he doesn't want to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, and he want to enjoy independent, being a master, he want to be master. That's why he put, because of his minute independence, living entity minute independence, he want to live the life with his own way. So that's why Lord Krishna's arrangement of this material world, that's why he put it into this material world for suffering. He suffer. But what living entity think, he's counteracting all these misery and he find the pleasure on that and he thinks he is happy. So we have a lot of suffering in our life, and we trying to mitigate while counteracting on those suffering. We trying to mitigate those suffering, and then we find some pleasure and we think we are happy. But that's not a happiness. That's a kind of a misery only. We are trying to avoid one suffering and another suffering is coming to us. But during the birth, we suffer a lot, and because that's the nature of the Krishna's arrangement, that once the birth happens, Maya will take over, and child will become illusion, and he doesn't remember all those suffering, and then he will come recognize himself in a body relationship, and then he keep on remain entangled if he doesn't follow the rules and regulation, if he doesn't adopt the spiritual life, follow the rules and regulation, serve the lotus feet of the devotees and Guru and Krishna, then he will keep entangled into a samsara cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. Text 7 talk about like the mother pungent food, how it will give the pain to the child, and he will not able to tolerate such pain because of his tender skin. And then it's very difficult to remain such a position if any other human being will try now in a developed consciousness stage. Now text 9, which is very beautiful, like child remain, like Prabhupada explained the analogy, like child is remain like a bird in the cage without freedom of movement, and only few fortunate child. I research on it. What Prabhupada means by fortunate? So only few fortunate child means like who has done the pious deed in the past. If they have done the pious deed, Sukriti, in their past life, that's where they can remember the trouble what they have seen in their last 100 lives, and they will see the extreme grief because of that, and then why they are put it in the embryo, and they got scared because if now they will come out of the embryo, take a birth, then this Maya Shakti will again illusion them, and then they will be again entangled into the birth and death life cycle. So Krishna gave us three things. Krishna gave us the forgetfulness, Krishna gave us the remembrance, Krishna gave us the knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 15.15 talk about. So Krishna sits in everyone's heart as a super soul, and that super soul gave us the remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. So if a child is fortunate enough, he has done the pious deed in his past lives, then he will able to see his past life, and he can put it under extreme grief. He can think about what he needs to do, because at that time he can see his all 100 lives as a CCTV footage in what he has done in his whole life. He will feel disappointed, and he will think like there is no possibility of coming out of this, because I'm doing this from last 100 life. I'm having same suffering again and again, and so Krishna is super soul is inspiring him, by showing him, because he is a fortunate, showing him so that he can correct his life in this world. So Prabhupada tell in the purport how one can perfect his life. So Prabhupada has compared this human form of body is just like a boat, and then captain of the ship is just like a spiritual master, and then favorable wind is nothing but our scriptural injunctions. So if we have a nice boat and we have a qualified captain and we have a favorable wind, then definitely one can cross this material ocean, knee signs of this ocean, without any possibility of failure, and he can go back to the Godhead. But there is unfortunate reality, because the Maya is so strong that even one prepared for this, if we have an opportunity, we have a temple, we have a devotee association, we all have all the Prabhupada given in scriptural injection, 4 regulated principle, all the Prabhupada books, different services. We have this institute like ISKCON, but still people commit suicide. They don't want to follow that. They ignore this kind of philosophy. They say, no, we are happy. They are happy in their material life. They are happy in their bodily relationship, and ignoring all these birth, old age, disease, and all death, all these miseries, they ignore. That's the unfortunate reality of this material world. So text 10 talk about from the 7th month, the consciousness developed for the child completely. And then we have a wind, air. There is a childbirth air called Shuti Vataha. And Prabhupada compare, because of that Shuti Vata, child will move downwards because it's preparing for the just few weeks before the delivery, the preparation for delivery. So child tossed up down and upwards for the delivery preparation. And here Prabhupada compare an analogy those worms also born from the mother, they came out from the same cavity where the child came. And then there is a word called Sodhara. Sodhara means the brotherhood. So Prabhupada is giving an analogy that these worms are also a brother of the child, the same child, because they come out of the same mother. Because in this current life, people are trying to set up the universal brotherhood between the human being, but we need to see all the living entity are our brother and sister. We need to have a feeling of samadarshana, because here in this case we can see like worms also came from the mother womb. So he is a brother of the child. So text 11 talk about how living entity offer a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I was hearing lecture, and also Prabhuji helped me to find out the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary there. So as per the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's mentioned not all the jiva can remember the Lord. Only few devotees jiva who are wise. It's in this verse says Rishi. Rishi means wise devotee jiva. And why they remember? Because they are frightened. They are frightened for their this coming birth. Because when they come born, they know they will get acquired by the covered by the Maya Shakti, and that's why they are frightened. And they are pleading with the folded hand, "Hey Lord, please help me. I don't want to take birth." Because so Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying like jiva prays for the Lord mercy with the distress word. Only certain fortunate jiva who are devotee, who have done the pious activity, who has devotion inside, then only they can pray the Lord. Then only they can, express the devotion to the Lord. And jiva is praying for the shelter of the Lord, that after birth, if Lord can protect that jiva, because they don't want to come again and commit the same mistake in this material world. So that's why jiva is trying to pray to the Lord. We have an example like Sukadev Goswami, like he doesn't want to come out of the womb of his mother because he was scared of this Maya Shakti. He doesn't want to come in, and for almost 14 years he did not come out. And Vyasadev was worried about it, and then he approached to Krishna. When Krishna gave the guarantee to Sukadev Goswami, then only he took a birth, that you will not be acquired by the covered by the illusionary energy of mind. Krishna says, then only he took birth. So Prabhupada says, like as any mother, during the labor pain, having a severe pain, at that time she says, I don't want to be pregnant again. A criminal, when he got caught by the police, he says, I don't want to do the crime again. Please forgive me. Similarly, the jiva, during the birth, if remember, and pray to the Lord, I don't want to take a birth. I will not do any sins. Please give me a chance to make my life perfect, and so that I can remove, I don't want to be entangled into this birth and death life cycle. I want to come out of it. But once jiva born, as a mother, after delivery, she would like to be pregnant again. As a criminal, when, if he's a rascal, he will, do the same crime again. Similarly, jiva, under the influence of material energy, they do the same sins again and again. And they don't only the devotee jiva who are based on some pious security, if they are under the shelter of mercy of the Lord or mercy of the Guru, if they get enlightenment of the Krishna consciousness, they can, if they are sincere and they following the regulative principle, they following the instruction of their Guru, and they follow all the sadhana bhakti, then definitely they can get liberated on the same life or maybe in next few lives. So text 12 talk about now Jantur Vacha, like human soul says, I would like to take a shelter of your Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur compare that human want to take a shelter of the Lord who will come in future. It's in the future tense. and walk over the entire earth, as an ordinary human being. Like here, Lord Kapila is talking about, like, human soul would like to take a shelter of Lord Krishna and Lord Rama, who wandered around the earth like a normal being, like normal human being, as an ordinary human being. Jiva want to take a shelter to get the protection from the Lord, because they are frightened, they are fearful, because the horrible material world will again, entangle them, and they will again commit sins. So they just wanna avoid their impious activities in the current life, and they can, so that they can focus on their spiritual progress. They can, start doing the service for the Lord. So here, Prabhupada, talk about Ichchaya. Ichchaya is a key word here, because Krishna descend on his own will. Krishna never come by someone else's desire. Krishna come into this material world by his own wills, and whenever Krishna comes, he protect the pious and kill the demons. So that's why this soul Jiva is trying to pray that please provide me the protection, so that when I take a birth, I will not, get the entanglement of this material world. I can, serve the lotus feet of you. I can pray to you. I can follow the anga of bhakti, and I can, surrender my life onto the lotus feet of your service. So Krishna says that whoever surrender unto me, I will liberate that souls, and that soul should not fear. Sarva dharma parteja. So that's what Krishna has, give the insurety to all of us. And Krishna ensures whoever surrender will never come to this material world again, will come back to him, because Krishna is more eager for us to come back, more than us, what we are eager. He loves us more than us, because Krishna love to Jiva more than what Jiva love to Krishna. So Krishna is more anxious for our return to Golok Vrindavan, our return to the eternal Edu. Now, in the next section, what we'll hear, when Jiva will come out from the womb of the mother, how he will get, acquired by the illusionary Maya Shakti, and what kind of suffering will Jiva see, we will hear. And also, when Jiva will take a birth, he will again entangle with a different bad association, and then how he will commit again sins. And then also, Lord Kapila will talk about the definition of a birth and death, final definition, what birth means to the living being and what death means to the living being. I'd like to stop here. Please forgive me as an humble servant. And if I have mistake anything, if I have misspoken anything, please forgive me. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, everyone.